this just people, they are trying to change the story to be it as a criminal or this kind of things. I'm Dr. Ali. I am here. I'm speaking with every journalist. I'm welcoming to everybody. I'm not a kind of a terrorist person. I'm owner of 3 hotels, so I haven't to do such things like that. They are fine here. They are using 2 big suites. They're using their internet and they're using their foods. So it's not good way to use such words like holding or hostaging or something like this, because they are not in hostage. Yeah.
But let's agree on something though. They are not free, because if they were free, they would leave Libya to come to South Africa. So can we agree that they don't have their freedom?
No, they have their freedom for sure. They are going out and coming in.
But they can't leave the country.
That putting here between 3%.
But what I'm saying is, according to that agreement that you say you have, they can't leave the country.
Do you hear me well, right?
I can hear you 100%, sir.
Yeah, we are now speaking in logic. So we have an agreement that the guys is staying here till I get my money.
Imagine when we start bartering with human beings. They can't leave the country, but they are free. I don't know what freedom means to you. And in a country like this one, where we know the price of freedom, where we know what freedom is, I wonder, to have your passport taken away from you in a foreign country due to a bill owing. It reminds me of that story, when we go back to Georgia, in Freedom Month. Yes, Tim, in Freedom Month. When we went to, it was Georgia, right, where a young South African, Rulani Mokwena, whose passport was also held because he couldn't pay for the hotel. What eventually happened is, he went out, stole a phone or took a phone. Let me not say stole, because, that story, I'm still waiting for him when he's out of jail to come and tell us. Took a phone, and now he's in prison. Finds himself in prison. 19 after the hour 6. Let's go into the other story filed by Mazola Molefe on sabc.co.za. After yesterday's match, Sundowns coach Rulani Mokwena suggested that striker Cassius Mailula of Bafana Bafana, the Bafana Bafana call-up might have come a little too early. Have a listen.
Use me as your shield, because I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I tried, but use me as your shield, because I'm the one that's advocating for that. I'm saying, easy does it. Easy does it. South Africa, I would have loved to see Cassius with the under-23s, not with Bafana. I would have loved to see Cassius with his age group going to Congo and helping the team to qualify. That's what I would have loved to see.
He goes on to speak about him being against young players being thrust in too deep, too quick.
But we, South Africa, man, our beloved country, guys, is let's easy. Let's talk. Let's talk about what's happening with where we're going, where are we, and what level has been set, and then we go. But it's very difficult. It's a very difficult topic. It's an emotional topic because yeah.
I mean, the Downs coach imply that he had his work cut out for him, reminding Mailula to keep his feet on the ground when he came back from national duty.
We just have to be very careful. Not too much noise, man. I always say, I said it about Cassius, and I had to manage Cassius when he came back from Bafana, because the youngsters need a little bit. They need a little bit of protection. We are not a country that is known to produce world-class talent at a very young age. And there must be a reason for that. There must be a reason. It should not be, but we don't have the talent. There must be a reason why.
It reminds me of a caller that called at 6:45 here on the show and said, hey, the young players, they just wear the tracksuit and go to the mall. Had a chuckle at that one. But lastly, this was, of course, triggered as well by the young player that they threw on yesterday at Sundowns when he was asked about him, Siyabonga Mabena.
Football nations produce 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that are ready to perform at this level, But why don't we do that? That should be our question. And sometimes we overhype. We see one good game and then all of a sudden, this one. No, a little bit. You've got to do this. How many years has Tembazwane been doing this? And so today you ask me more about Mabena. you should be asking me about Mshishi. Do you know what I mean? You should be asking me about Peter. How many Peter's level of consistency for the last 4 5 years from Highlands Park, Sundowns, the number of goals. Peter is on 98 goals. Why are we not talking about Peter? Why are we talking about Mabena? We should not be speaking about Mabena. Mabena has not done enough to be part of this press conference.
It feels like we're having two different conversations in South Africa, where we're saying we don't have enough national, rather young players in the PSL playing. At the same time, there's a protection thing where you're saying, hey, if you put too much pressure on them and hype them up too early, then they're not going to live up to their potential. Where do you stand with what you've heard now from Rulani Mokwena, the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns? And of course, they've got young players that they're thrusting in there now. You're seeing a lot more of them towards the latter part of the season. Cassius Mailula, you've been seeing all season. That's what he had to say. Mazola Molefe has filed that story. It is on sabc.com. But what are your thoughts on that? Send us a voice note on 060-552-7303. Call us at 6:45 when we start taking your calls. The most exciting part of the show by far. On 086-000-2160. When we come back, though, a conversation needs to be had with the team that's selling. But firstly, let's perhaps get an insight from another team that's in trouble.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
President of Mazulu Football Club, Andile Ncube, on the line. What is it about this man, Romain Folz, that you see so much that senior players, junior players within the team don't see?
You know, it's the same guy that took us to the final of the M10 Cup. Same guy was on the bench when we frankly cheated of 6 valuable points. Probably if we had won those games against Rulani AM, we would denied the legitimate goal. And 2 other games which is not worth talking about. So 6 points, you could be talking a different game now. My respect for him, quite frankly, is not heavily diminished.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sport. Let's go. Don't touch that dial. Don't touch that dial. It's now a different playing field. Metro FM.
Hottest hit in the streets.
The most common signs of abuse are psychological, physical, sexual, financial, and emotional. Recognize the patterns, report these to the authorities, and protect yourself. Metro FM, turning 16 days into 365 days.
Yo, we gon' get them.
Get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
It is exactly 25 after the hour 6. Our conversations today about the viability of our leagues, particularly in the second tier of South African football. Is it viable to own a team there? Is it financially sound to own a team there? That's the conversation we'll be having, because yet another team is selling in South African football. And the owner's saying, hey, I'm ready to listen to offers. I'm ready to take an offer on the team. I wonder, though, when you see others that are purported to have money saying, hey, this is just not enough, we are selling, what does that mean for the value of our league? And of course the conversations we've just had about Rulani Mokwena statements and the guys that are still locked up all the way, well, not locked up, but held in Libya. If you want to comment on that, it's 060-552-7303. Call us on 086-000-2160. Before we get into the conversation as they wait on the line there, do you remember Chief Tidiela? Black Leopards. Once upon a time, they were the pride of the North in the DStv Premiership, then the PSL. We spoke to him here because they're sitting right at the bottom of their league in the Motsepe Foundation Championship. And he was telling us about the financial implications of owning a team in South Africa. This is Chief Tidiela on how much he spends on one game.
We can't afford that. It's even more costly. I mean, to go to Cape Town won't spend anything less than 300,000 just for a single match. But the location...
You can't just glide over something like that. You're saying to me the cost of playing in Cape Town when you go from where you are going to play. Well, I remember All Stars at some point were based down there, for instance, going to play Cape Town Spurs and the likes. It costs you 300,000 just for that one match.
And then the Motsepe Foundation League, your grant is 500,000.
It's 500,000 a month.
Yes, I can tell you every month I have to go say David Tidiera back pocket for about 800 to $1 million every single month. That's why I was talking of private jets in the beginning.
So there you go. It costs 300,000 just to play one match when they move from the north to Cape Town. 300,000 when the grant is 500,000. So if there's a team that's selling, how much are they selling for? And can they, let people know what is the cost of running the team and how much are you getting from that? We spoke to him as well, and he told us why he thinks teams are selling.
And you can easily calculate it. How much is a ticket to Cape Town? You go with a squad of about 35 people. Say if you are lucky, you can pay maybe 6,000 return. You take 6 that multiply by 35, you're over 100 and something. Now you still have to go pay for accommodation. There's your ground transport, there's your food and all. That will cost come around to that. I think it's the reason why all stars that you've mentioned have actually moved to Gauteng.
They moved from Cape Town. Lunga Ncube and his team are here now.
Now also understanding why people are selling teams left, right, and because from outside it looks nice, but I can tell you even in the DSTV Premiership, there's probably only 1 or 2 teams that are running at a profit.
Listen to that, huh? 1 or 2 teams that he thinks would be running at a profit. So why do people get involved in football then? Surely there should be some sort of financial background look to say, yeah, you can afford to buy the team and it costs this much, but can you actually afford the team? That's the conversation we should be having. I did promise that at 5:30 we're going to be speaking to a man who's going to be telling us about a sale of a team. Tando Sotinga is going to be joining us on the line to tell us, as he's the director of the team, how much are they selling for? What is the status in the PSL worth nowadays? So take a break. When we come back, 6:45, still taking your calls on 086 0002160. Your WhatsApps at 6:45 on 060 552 7303.
We stay connected.
Fabulous.
No matter where you are or where we are. Metro FM. It's where you're at. This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
Marumo Gallants, they've left 2 of their technical team members in Libya. It's now become an international relations matter. DECO coming into it. This is the spokesperson of DECO, Clayson Munyel.
Holding people hostage is a criminal offense, and the South African government will not allow for our nationals to be kidnapped or held against their will.
We've got Dr. Alzajar, who is the Libyan hotel owner out in Libya.
First of all, I want to say that I'm not holding anybody. They are not in hostage. People, they are trying to change the story to be it as a criminal. I'm not a kind of a terrorist person. It's not good way to use such words like holding or hostaging or something like this, because they are not in hostage.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sport.
Let's go.
Call the Metro FM live studio 0860 002 160.
It's exactly 6:30 on the mighty Metro FM. A multiple of different conversations that we're juggling, and of course one of them coming from a conversation we got yesterday from Sundowns after their match, drawing 0-0 there with Cape Town City, but of course getting their guard of honor. They're already the champions, but the big one is yet another team selling in the DSTV in the PSL, because remember, the PSL does have 2 tiers of football. It's the DSTV Premiership and the Motsepe Foundation Championship as well. A status is for sale. Businessman Lunga Ncube, who owns All Stars, which used to be Cape Town All Stars before they moved to Johannesburg, is selling his team. So there you go. If you think you can afford a team in the championship that you want to groom to come up to the PSL, well, here's an opportunity to do so. What is it looking like at the moment for them? They're sitting in 6th position after 25 matches in the league. They've got 39 points. Mazola Molefe did the story for SABC News. He joins us now on the line. Mazola, are you there? Mr. Molefe? Right, I think we need to get Mazola. Oh, there we go. Mazola, are you well?
Yeah. Sorry, technology in I'm good.
No, I'm well, man. We're talking about the sale of yet another team in the PSL, this time around in the lower league, which is, of course, the championship. Lunga Ncube is selling his All-Stars, former Cape Town All-Stars.
Yeah, it's a story we broke this morning on SABCsport.com. I got a call actually from the director who I believe we were meant to speak to, but he's out in Cape Town at the Bay Hill tournament. So I guess with the team that he's looking after is playing at the moment. But he confirmed that Chairman Rulani Mokwena is done with professional football. That's how he put it. The chairman is done with professional football. He's aware that he will not necessarily recoup the money that he spent over the years. Remember, they were in Cape Town, relocated to Johannesburg, and moved to Cape Town from Cape Town All-Stars FC in a bid to try and gain promotion to the DStv Premiership. The outright promotion isn't going to happen, but being in sixth position, they still have a slight chance of making the promotion playoff. But the chairman says he's giving up and he's ready to sell. But he wants 12 million and upwards.
12 million, that's the price of the sale of the team.
That's the price of the sale of the team. My understanding is that NFD statuses or franchises have in the past sold for less than that, around 8 or 10. Perhaps the chairman can be persuaded otherwise. But from my conversation with Mr. Odinga this morning, the chairman is sticking to the price tag of around 12 million.
I mean, this says a lot. I mean, you remember the conversation with Black Leopards as well. Is there value then, financial value, in the PSL as far as a second-tier football is concerned? Or is this a place where you go and you spend your money in hopes to get to the PSL where you then will make your money?
I believe it's where you are stationed or located. Remember, Chairman Rulani Mokwena moved the club to Johannesburg, perhaps hoping for better facilities, resources. As a businessman himself, he would know he does his business out in Cape Town and in Johannesburg and all around the country, really. And him moving the club to Johannesburg, he had high and lofty ambitions. But they struggled, first of all, to get training venues. The PSL initially had not approved the Tsakani Stadium, and they had to play their game in Soshanguve. They had to play their game in the Johannesburg City Centre in the area of Ramfontein at the Breakfast Stadium. And only recently did the PSL approve, give green light for the Tsakani Stadium to host the home matches. So obviously that affected them. I think it's part of the reason why the chairman feels like he's done his bit. He tried to get the team to the top flight. And of course, as we heard from Chief Tibiela a couple of weeks ago, it's expensive to be only getting 500,000 a month, but putting in so much more, maybe 3 or 4 times that amount to try and push for a top flight.
Yeah, about $1 million a month that you've got to put in from your own pocket.
Absolutely. Of course, Chairman Lunga can afford, given his business acumen, but at some point you have to get out what you put in, at some point, and that hasn't quite happened, and he's now happy to allow someone else to try their luck.
It's a slippery slope in business when you talk about this, but what does this mean about the quality of our football, I wonder, and of that league in particular, which has now, of course, had Patrice Motsepe and his Motsepe Foundation come on and sponsor that league in particular. But I look around that league, Mazola, I'm not sure I see any sponsors. I mean, the last I remember, I think MTN used to sponsor Black Leopards when they had gone down, but that's since diminished as well. Is it viable for sponsorship? Do we see a lot of sponsorship happening in that league?
Not in the lower division. I mean, as it is, Glad Africa cut ties with the Premier Soccer League even before, prior to the end of that partnership. I believe it was a 3 or 5 year contract, and Glad Africa did not see it through. It cut in the middle almost in the middle of that partnership, and Patrice Motsepe had to swoop in and almost save the second tier, as it were. And a lot of the clubs in the lower division don't have sponsors. If you get relegated from the top flight, from getting 2 million a month to getting 500,000 a month. So it's all about resources as well. And, I understand the plight faced by top dogs like Lunganywana, who are trying to invest in football but aren't getting much of it. You know, it would be interesting to have the chairman on air to ask his journey since he took over as All-Stars chairman with his ambition to try and get the team up to the top flight, and a few years later he's given up.
What is inclusive of this price, Mazola? Perhaps they did talk to you. We do know that Thando Sotinga was supposed to talk to us, the All-Stars director, but there is a Bay Hill tournament that's currently happening at the moment, and the team is there. It's probably running over at the moment, so he's unable to take our call at the moment. But what is that inclusive of? You remember when the Bloemfontein Celtic Rail AM buy happened? You know, it was you had to buy everything, including the contract of the players. Is this the same here? Are you just buying an empty franchise with, you know, here's the status, or are you buying everything, including the contract of the players? Because then there needs to be conversation with the Football Players Union, etc., etc.
My understanding from my conversation with Thando this morning was that it's inclusive of everything. It's not an empty franchise. It would include the players. They would inherit the contract, because it would be a breach of contract to buy a status and then get rid of everyone. Remember, even in the situation where Bidvest sold to Masala Mulaudzi, he had to inherit everything and then subsequently then sold, or the club, Bidvest then sold some of the high-profile players to the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, as well as Orlando Pirates, and the rest were given their clearances because they were not willing to relocate. It's around similar circumstances. So whoever buys All Stars would inherit and then have the opportunity during the off season to negotiate with the players whether they want to have their contract terminated, settled, paid out, or stick out with the team under the new ownership. And I suspect a lot of them, if the club isn't relocating back to Cape Town or to Limpopo or to the Free State, a lot of the players might prefer to remain in the same place as long as the club is not moving to a different province or city.
Before I let you go, just to jump on a topic that we did a little bit earlier, Mazola, Rulani Mokwena and his utterances about young players. What did you make of that?
I'm shocked. I think the coach is contradicting himself. He as a coach, prior or during the World Cup, or even after the World Cup, he was making an example about Pedri, the Barcelona superstar, who's still quite young, 20 years old, but was part of the World Cup squad and played in all group stage matches that Spain played out in Qatar. And he made a reference to say, if Pedri can play at the World Cup and he got the quality, to use the old adage that if you are good enough, you are old enough. So I'm surprised to hear the coach now turning around and saying Cassius Mailula perhaps should have been with the under-23 team. And shortly after I posted that story and the subsequent tweet, Vincent Seka, the team manager, the Bafana Bafana team manager, then replied to that story to say, but Sundowns refused to release Cassius Mailula last year when the under-23 team were playing against Togo in the Olympic qualifier. But now the coach is complaining about the same player representing the junior national team. So you make of that what you will, Andile.
And then Mabena, the player that, of course, raised his blood a little bit as well. Very young player here, saying, and very well, you can't get an interview with those players out at Sundowns because they're trying to protect them. Another young player they're grooming to get out there, being protected. What does that mean for you when they say these players are being protected? And then he made a statement as well to say he had to talk to Cassius Mailula after Bafana Bafana. What did you make of that?
There I understand where the coach is coming from. Perhaps Cassius made his Bafana debut. He made 2 appearances off the bench against Liberia. Maybe he comes back feeling like he's made it. He's not as humble, or he's not keeping his feet on the ground. I mean, only the coach can take us into his confidence there because he sees the players' attitude of training and post his Bafana call-up. He works with the players on a daily basis. I mean, Mabena is only 16 years old, and he's rubbing shoulders with Surprise Rulani, whose son was in the same class with him at the School of Excellence in grade 10.
No.
So
he can say to his buddy, "Get that little time how."
Exactly. So the coach, there I understand where the coach is coming from. He's got to manage the ego. He's got to manage expectations. But the statement he's made about Cassius Mailula preferring him to play for the under-23 instead of Bafana Bafana, when actually he did come off the bench in the 2 games. It's not like he was an unused substitute and he sat in the stand. And the coach mentioned that Cassius is good enough, therefore he's old enough. 2 contradicting statements there by Coach Rulani.
Do you think Cassius Napere tracksuit to go mall?
Yeah, William Molinga tracksuit.
Mazola Molefe, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking our call. Of course, you did do the story with the director. We're supposed to talk to the director, but you did say he's out at the Bay Hill tournament at the moment.
I believe he should be available tomorrow for you.
Hey, we got to move. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Mazola.
It's a pleasure, too.
Mazola Molefe at 6:43 there. Well, there it is. Lunganwana's team, Cape Town All-Stars, is what it used to be. It's now been renamed All-Stars, and he moved it to Johannesburg to try and cut costs, amongst other things, for the extensive travels within South Africa, to try and save money in order to have, a little bit more to run the team. But seemingly, he's had enough. He's selling the team. He's put the bidding price, or the bottom price, at 12 million rands for a status that's in 6th position at the moment, with 5 games still to go, can go all the way up to a playoff position. And I'm pretty sure whoever's buying it, that transaction would have to await the end of the season to see where they finish. But, looking at the point system, don't think they'll be relegated or be within the relegation zone, although they'll not most likely to get automatic promotion. It's exactly 6:44. You know what that means. Time to take your calls on everything we've spoken about. I've got a feeling a lot of you want to speak about Rulani. It's 086-000-2160, 060-552-7303. Take a break. When we come back, it's over to you.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
President of Amazulu Football Club, Andile Ncube, on the line. Hebe. Hebe. You have redeployed your coach, Romain Folz.
If you read social media, you'll see someone saying, when are you firing for Hloza? I've taken a lot of pressure. People don't appreciate that there's something I've seen for Hloza which may be good for the team long term. So he's brought up much closer to the president to offer advice on the technical aspect of the Vision 2032. We do things with scenarios. So we are smarter than being foolish.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sports. Let's go. We stay connected.
Fabulous.
No matter where you are or where we are. Metro FM. It's where you're at.
Court is in session every Monday to Friday at 11:30 a.m. Judge Jerry, only on SABC2.
This is Karabo, the boss's favorite, the host with the most, especially with the new clients.
He's a stakeholder. Get it? Stakeholder?
But when she gets that notification that her favorite show is on in the next 10 minutes, she knows home time is calling.
Speaking about the stakeholders, they're on the line now.
With SABC2 giving you the best of family entertainment, you can kick back and relax because it's home time. No matter where you are, enjoy new primetime entertainment from 7 p.m. with family reality, cooking shows, game shows, relationship-driven shows, and travel game shows that you'll love. SABC2. Feel at home. Download the SABC Plus app today.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
Khopela o botse chairman ya Amazulu gore Beni Mekhethi ne le coach ra hae o bile coachara e leng gore na e tlo tsa team ya hae ya mo one of the best histories tsa mo South Africa. Jimmy Mawa, the busy one of Motsebe. Thank you, Ma.
I think Mr. Zungu, I think for him is downgrading now. You can't have a coach of caliber of Benny McCarthy and then now you go for a guy who must still learn and build the team. Romeo Falls is not the right guy for Amazon.
Mr. Zungu is just afraid of releasing Mr. Falls because he recently gave him 3 years contract. So it's difficult for him to fire the man. But then deep down, Mr. Zungu knows what he wanted to get rid of Mr. Falls.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sport. Let's go. Yo, we gon' get them. Get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Yeah, good evening, Andile and the listeners of Metro FM. Andile, I think PSL need to step in. If the gentleman cannot afford to pay, let them take the grant, his monthly grant, and pay that guy, because we cannot allow people, especially South African, to be treated like that. No. That chairman must appear before PSL.
But remember, this is a CAF competition.
He must pay those people. Why is running football? No, I'm disappointed, man. Very disappointed. Thanks, Andile.
I appreciate you, but remember, this is, Confederations Cup. This is CAF competition. This is out of the jurisdiction of the PSL. But I do hear what you're saying, and I do wonder, though, as well, if there is some sort of a role that can be played.
Yeah, Andile, it's Mandela in Deep Slot. Rulani is 100% right. I was thinking about this, but I didn't express it anyway. Under 23, that's where Cassius was needed. He was almost guaranteed to play both matches there. So taking him to the older guys, and how many minutes did he play there? And now you see, I believe with his experience, Mailula, he would have, done something, especially in the second game, because, that's where we needed goals, So, it's just that this coach of Bafana Bafana doesn't know anything about the country, doesn't know the team, doesn't know what he's doing, so yeah.
The same coach who qualified?
Hi, Andile.
Okay.
This is Cassius Jafta from Vonorkop in Marikana. Regarding the statement when you say Rulani says Cassius is not ready for the national team. So my understanding regarding this is that he says Cassius should have been with the under-23s so that he can help the team qualify for the Olympics. That's my understanding. I think maybe I stand to be corrected. Thank you very much.
Andile, good evening. At least one person, Rulani Mokwena, is talking some sense today. I've been trying to tell people that we have a tendency of overhyping mediocre players, if for a lack of a better word. These players are good, but they're not good enough. They're not world class. But because I think us or the media, we're too hungry to produce a star. We now call everybody that can wear a kit and play 90 minutes, we call them a star. Mailula is still young. He's been having a good season, but he hasn't even finished one season yet. But already we're making noise about him. Mokwena is spot on in this thing, man.
So if
very spot on.
Even if he's doing well, scoring goals, just ignore him. Okay. One more, then we're going to take a call. We've got France, Dixon, David, and Simon.
I'm just waiting to hear about this thing of sale of the theaters, because I also feel that we owning teams, but we are not benefiting anything from SAFA. So I just feel that we're going to sell a lot of teams as well. So let me just listen to what's been on about the sale of the theaters. And
if an 12 meter, we'll put you through.
From Mukopana Ramadi.
Let's go to France. France is out in Midrand. France.
Hey, Andile, how are you, man?
Yeah, man.
Hi, good
talk to me.
Andile, I'm very surprised about the comments made by our coach, like Rulani Mokwena. Cassius Mailula is playing in Africa with Sundowns, isn't it?
He is.
So what difference does it make when he represents Sundowns or when he represents Bafana? I don't get it, like, because he's a football player, he's a professional. We have to believe that because he's playing professionally. We need to test him on the field, or obviously, with the big boys. He's a big boy. He has done matter. That's what I believe, man. He might perform, he might not perform in some days, but we need to test him on the field. That's how it is.
Let me ask you, so to you it's just a player, and it's just so we should ignore the fact that he's a young man. And think about yourself at 20 years old, 21 years old. Keisha's what, 21 years old now?
Yeah.
Think about yourself at 21 years old when you're playing with your heroes. You heard, you know, the player that just started now, Siyabonga Mabena, who's at Sundowns now. He used to go to school with Rulane's son. That's how young these boys are. Whether we like it or not, we can't force them to grow in their heads ahead of their time. And what it sounds and what it seems and what it looks like to me is Rulani saying, hey, let's understand that these are still teenagers, these are still 21-year-olds. So yes, they're great at football, but there's social factors as well. Let's maybe help them and assist them there.
Yeah, yes, I do get you there, Andile. But we do have the coaches, technical teams, and they're supposed to support and guide these young players and let them know what they are at. Like,
Marako fielding balatlel.
Sorry?
What are you saying, Francis? You hear the social part and the growing up part, but in the field, they are soccer players, they must go play.
Yes, but even the coaches need to play their part and talk to their players. They are young, they need to be taught and be guided outside the field. Yes.
I hear you, Francis. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. A regular here on the show, all the way from Shlanga. Dixon.
Hey, Andile.
Hey, talk to me, man. Timmy, what did you do to Dixon? Timmy doesn't want to hear from Dixon. Let's go to David then. David is out here. David?
Thank you for taking my call, Andile. Good evening and to you and the listeners, including the crew members.
You've got Unalam Takasira go Gurulin.
We are now getting used to the abnormal.
Talk to me.
Okay. Firstly, I want to applaud Coach Rulani. He's maturing with the game, and he's let's not forget what once happened to a player called Steve Likwelea. He once went to Amsterdam and came back a broken man, though he had talent. Age and nurturing, it plays a very important role. And the second part I want to mention, Andile, I'm worried that South Africa is a signatory of anti-human trafficking. What is happening to the crew that is stuck in Libya is tantamount to human trafficking. It should be condemned at all costs. We must even shout so that these people who are in charge, they must know that human life is more important than money. We cannot trade human beings and pawn them for money. That is totally unacceptable. Thank you, Andy.
I hear you, and I mean, I do think it's a humanitarian issue now. I do think that DECO, the government, should be getting a lot more involved, maybe a little bit more aggressively. But we will keep you updated on that story. Let's go to Simon. Simon is out in Germiston. Simon. Simon. Simon, they're not working out. We're going to go to, I think it's Oki in Davidson. Oki. Hey, talk to me.
How are you, my brother?
Yeah, me, I'm always good, man.
I'm good. I want to step into this conversation about Cassius Mailula. Yeah, I think Rulani is wrong. If you can look at Spain, I'm not comparing South Africa and Spain, but if you can look at Spain, Gavi was 17 or 18 playing at World Cup. You see, yeah. So I think if the boy is ready at that age, it's fine for him to play at Bafana Bafana with the senior player. I don't think there's something wrong there.
I hear you, but I mean, what do you make of him saying we're not a country that produces young players, so therefore maybe we don't know how to take care and manage young players? Because it's different. You got to manage them differently to how you'd manage a seasoned Mshishi.
I understand you, Andile, but then all of these years we have been trying to work with the senior players, but we don't get any results. We have to change in order to get something. I believe in that.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All the way in Davidton. Let's go and take Umatigizela eThekwini. Hola. Matigizela.
Hello?
Hey, talk to me.
No, it's Simon Andile Ncube.
Oh, Simon, we got you back. Simon, talk to me.
Yes, I'm back again. Okay, Andile, well, in fact, what Rulani said, it is something not completely new in our football. I remember the late Dumitro did allude to the fact that our players, most of the time, they get to mature at the age of 28 and 32. So to take a youngster like Cassius Mailula, Andile?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
To take a youngster like Cassius Mailula and put him into the national team, it's actually a fatal exercise because most of our players, when it comes to international football,
but Simon,
yes.
If I ask you, who are the top 5 players right now in the DSTV Premiership? Is Mailula's name going to come up?
Premiership. Oh,
Mailula, is his name going to come up in the top 5 players? When the awards come at the end of the season, is his name going to come up?
Of course, yes. But remember, local game and international standard, two totally different levels. I remember at some stage, Benny McCarthy was doing very well, but to crack it into the national team, it was quite difficult. And Clive Parker tried to introduce him gradually.
Hey, it was a different time. Hey, there were players at that time. It was a different time.
We're very impatient with him. We're calling for Clive Parker to bring him on. Had he done that, Benny wouldn't have flourished as he did. He was brought. We forget to bear in mind that he was brought in gradually, 10, 15 minutes. And when Jomo Solo took over,
but
he was ready.
It was the same with Cassius. He didn't play 2 full matches. He was brought on off the bench.
No, but he must be brought in gradually at this level with the juniors.
Oh, at under 23.
Yes. Look at the composition of the under 23 players. All right, fully fleshed talent, but because of our standard, it's not maturing so quickly. We are able to crack it when it comes to national teams and all that. Our national teams are not doing well because of rush players.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's our time, unfortunately. We do it again tomorrow between 6 and 7. But right now, we need to hand over to a lady that every day now I get you and I'm like, who do you have now? Because yesterday on our way out, we're rubbing shoulders here with Premier Panyaza Lesufi, who, Faith, is, because I listened to the interview. He's one of 2 things. He's either the most daring, bravest, patriotic South African, or a dreamer.
Or very strategic. See, there's one thing that what we need to notice is that Panyaza Lesufi as a Gauteng Premier has got extensive experience when it comes to politics, right? And I think he's very smart in being able to, number one, be very frank about the issues that are facing the province, but number 2, be able to say, I commit to tackling them. But also, there are political ambitions within that, right? I think that though a person is elected into positions of power, but you have to be able to demonstrate that you've got a capability of leading.
Leadership,
And what he's trying to do right now is demonstrate, at least to the residents of Gauteng, at least to the African National Congress in the Gauteng region, that I am capable of leading. Look at my stride, which, by the way, cannot be taken as something that is bad. In fact, it's a good thing that is aligning himself with leadership. I think we should watch for one such a Panyaza Lesufi. I think his political career is one such that we need to pay close attention to, just from a place of ambition.
And I saw today, him delivering all those ambulances and saying that it should be a yearly thing, that there should be a lot more ambulances and no one should ever have to wait longer than, I think he quoted 15 or 5 minutes, I can't remember, for those. Very exciting, and one will wait as a resident of Gauteng to see where he goes with his career and how much of the huge things that he was talking about here will actually be delivered on. What do you have going on today?
So today it's a business Wednesday. So we're going to be focusing significantly on the status of township economies, because I think that we never go into depth about the realities and the lived experience of people that are running businesses within the township. What exactly is the gap? Where does it lie? What is the need out there? And more than anything else, how badly have they been impacted by COVID-19 as well as the subsequent lockdown? Because I think we try to say to people, forget and move on. But how can township businesses and the economy actually move on in place of, for example, a township economic act, which is supposed to be enacted in Gauteng? So that's one side of it. And then we're going to be speaking to SAYA, which is a consumer education campaign. They're going to be joining us to tell us a little bit about how is it that you get to claim, particularly with the natural disasters that we're facing of recent. After 8 o'clock, we're in conversation. You're going to love this one. We're talking about the construction mafia. You know, the guys that say that they're from the local business forum, and they say that we want 30% of your total contract value.
Somebody will call in and tell you there's a name that they call them because it was very rife in Durban early onwards.
In 2014, 2015.
Yeah, that's where it started, I've been told. And it's very rife. There's a name that they call them. They'll call you and tell you.
Well, yeah. So many people know them as the local business forum, but exactly how do they work? How intricate is it? Who's all involved in it? We're going to have various guests in the studio, including people that are in the construction business who've been impacted by it, just sharing their insights as well as their experience. But we need to talk about this, the construction mafia. How do we put a stop to this?
You know, you spoke about township economy. When I grew up, and I can pick any other places I grew up, but I'm going to pick Tembisa. There was a cinema called Matole, and that family owned a lot of little shopping centers where there was a butchery and a bottle store. And I used to think that you could be a millionaire because I saw how they lived.
Yeah.
You know, from the cars they drove, the big houses they stayed in, the kids went to schools where they wore caps. And to me, that's always been like, if you go to a school where you wear a cap,
you've arrived.
You've arrived. I wonder now if there are still families in the townships that own businesses that solely work in the township that are seemingly living off that wealthily. Like millionaires, like living in a way that we see people that own business outside. I wonder if that still happens. I wonder if there's still business like that exist.
And this is the reason why we need to be able to have a conversation of this nature, because I think when it comes to the township economy, we often like to focus on a hairdressing salon, a hair salon, or chisanyama, or a little tavern. We need to be able to think beyond that, but we can't think beyond that if the major corporations as well are stopping the growth of the smaller businesses within the township. So it's going to get controversial this evening.
I got to get out of here. Trust me, she's robust. You don't want to miss it. Faith Mangope comes in over the next 2 hours, 7 till 9 o'clock. Catch you on a Sport at 10 this evening, live on SABC 1, of course. That's where I'm off to for myself and my entire team. Pella. That's all me.